What's up, party people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 147 and season 5, episode 9 of Thoughts and Hunches, Making Money in Bunches and Sucker Punches. It's your boy Stony coming back at you for the 147th time. Can't believe it. And I'd like to welcome all of my fellow hoodlums, lowlifes, scumbags, shady characters, heathens, scoundrels, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, hustlers, wise guys, people that give themselves nicknames and speak in the third person crews, foul-mouthed raging alcoholics, MLB players that have got into a fight with Bryce Harper, you know who you are, cheats, disasters that take pride in a $4 profit on the WNBA cruise, gangsters, fienders with abusive language, and degenerates. Let's face it, anybody with a massive gambling problem. If you're new to the show, hey, that means you probably fit into one of those categories, so welcome, because you're now one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Gooba gobble. One of us. We accept it. One of us. Sorry. Know the reference. That's all I got to say. Make sure to hit the subscribe button right down here in the lower right-hand corner. That way you can get notified every time I put out a new video. It'll ring the bell. And it'll be easy. To spread the word, that's also easy. Just tell other degenerates and scumbags, like Cruz, to go to YouTube and enter Thoughts and Hunches in the search bar. That'll take you directly to my page so you can get dialed into everything that I give you. Also, if you're new and you don't know what's what with this channel, it's college and pro football winners, MLB playoff winners, and college basketball winners very soon. Couple weeks away. Get ready for that. That's going to be a daily thing. The books, they're not ready. They're just not prepared. All the sports books that are out there, they're not prepared for a guy like me to come out and deliver this many winners. I'm an outlier and a disruptor. I'm like the Beastie Boys. I disrupt. That's what I do.
At the party, disrupt the whole scene.
That's what I do, right? I go to the mattresses every single week and get the info for you in order to get you to the window with a ticket to cash. Now, before I get to the picks, as usual, I have some thoughts. You ready? You got to be ready. How can you not be ready? Right?
Give me all you got! Listen, give me all you got!
Never gets old. Never, ever, ever gets old. I'm not going to waste my time talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets because ESPN has more than handled that. Oh, God, it's insufferable. And since it's mid-October, I have to get on the MLB playoffs. Not only have they been great, but I really enjoy listening to certain analysts who really know the game. John Smoltz is at the top of the list during broadcasts of the NLCS. If you don't know that much about baseball, and especially pitching, and you want to learn, just listen to Smoltz. The guy is unbelievable. From everything from arm angle to how much pressure to put on each finger when you're throwing each pitch to make the ball dance in a different direction. It's amazing, right? If you don't, also, right, you can't get enough like me. Listen to Pedro Martinez in the postgame show. Man, these guys are Hall of Fame pitchers for a reason. They understand the art. And they know when to throw what pitch in certain counts. And don't sleep on Ron Darling, who's been doing the ALCS on TNT. He's just fantastic also. The other one that I love listening to is Alex Rodriguez. He's on Fox's pre- and post-game broadcast with David Ortiz and Derek Jeter. And while Jeter's just okay, yeah, he knows the game, but he's not really that good to listen to, right? Big Papi's just a clown. He does nothing but crack jokes, and he's kind of an ass out there, right? The substance comes from A-Rod. He understands hitting. He understands fielding. He understands base running. He understands managing. He understands situations, everything, right? When he said, quote, openers are fine in the regular season, but that don't fly in the playoffs. I wanted to jump up off my couch and start cheering, right? In order to win October, you need starting pitching, timely hitting, and a lockdown bullpen. Amen, A-Rod and Pedro and Smoltzy and Darling. Speaking of baseball, I wish I was a pitcher right now so I could throw at Juan Soto and drill him every single time that asshole, excuse my language, comes up. I would take the ejections, I would take the suspensions, I would take the fines, whatever they want to give me. But somebody needs to throw at him for his antics after every single pitch while in the batter's box. I wonder what Bob Gibson or Pedro or Smoltz would do if they were pitching to that punk, because that's what he is. Next up, I can't resist talking about last weekend's college football matchups. I mean, watching those games, it just added to the fact that the college game is still miles ahead of the pro game, right? Monday night's NFL game was a complete and total disaster as the referees literally decided the game. It was painful to watch. It was like watching a Yankee-Red Sox series. 4.5 hours of just, what's going on here? Compare that to LSU and Ole Miss, a rivalry game, going to overtime. Tennessee and Florida, another rivalry game, also going to overtime. And the sheer joy of the Ohio State-Oregon matchup that was razor thin and unbelievably exciting. Compare that to the Colts versus the Titans on Sunday. Baseball and college football are far more compelling than the NFL, which won't become watchable until January. And even then, don't kid yourself, the NFL and the referees will decide who wins, and it's just sad. Now, you ready? Let's move on to Stoney's NCAA Top 12 rankings. I do this every week until the final 12 are selected. These are based on current AP rankings and what I've seen on the field. So some teams may have higher rankings than others based on who they've beaten. And starting this week, if you have a loss, any team with one loss gets slotted below an unbeaten team. I know Georgia is better than Army, but Georgia has a loss. Army does not. Okay? All unbeaten teams come first. I'm just going to list them without going into too deep because I don't want this to be an hour-long video, right? Texas is number 1 and keeps rolling after the Red River shootout that turned into the Red River blowout. Oregon's number 2 after a huge win over Ohio State, which was just classic, great, awesome football. My number 3 team is Penn State, who struggled but took out USC on the road in overtime. Another great game in overtime. Iowa State is a surprise number 4 as they just keep racking up the W's. BYU is a very underappreciated number 5 as they're unbeaten as well and have a better schedule so far than number 6, Miami, who had the week off and that was tougher competition than they've played all year. It's sad. Indiana is a surprise number 7, unbeaten. Pittsburgh is number 8 and unbeaten. Numbers 9 and 10 are huge surprises, but they're the last 2 unbeaten teams in the FBS, and that's Army at 9 and Navy at 10. So 9 unbeaten teams. 10 unbeaten teams. Number 11 is Ohio State, as their only loss was at Oregon. And finally, Georgia is 12th. Who's missing? Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Tennessee, LSU, A&M. All these teams are going to move up once the unbeaten teams ahead of them start losing, right? Okay? So argue all you want, but I don't care, right? I know college football, and that's what I've seen so far. Look out for my new list that comes out next week, as we got more big games coming this weekend that'll certainly shake up my rankings. As for the week that was, college football was a battle for me. I started 2-1 on Friday, but Saturday's 10-9-1 did nothing but hurt. NFL was interesting in that I lost Thursday night and Sunday morning in London, so I was hanging on by a thread. Then an interesting thing happened. I got red hot. I went 9-3 the rest of the day, including a win on Sunday night. Even Monday night's loss wasn't bad, and despite a mostly down week betting MLB playoffs, I managed to battle enough to end on a positive note with a bunch of plus money winners. Here are the updated numbers. Last week, 35 wins, 29 losses, 1 push, 54.69%. Not great, but still in the black. NCAA football regular season, all the numbers, 85 wins, 62 losses, 1 push, 57.82%. That's as solid can be. NFL regular season after another big week, 54 wins, 39 losses, 5 pushes, 58.06%, improving up to 58 now. MLB playoffs, 38 wins, 32 losses, 54.28%. Not terrible, but not where we want to be. And games are running out now. Overall, every pick I've given you over all 8 episodes of Stoniecast this season, 177 wins, 133 losses, 6 pushes, 57.09%. Any way you look at it, that's pretty damn good.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
That's right, Teddy. Now, please remember that all of these picks are 100% free. So for all the touts out there, right, that are telling you that I'm going to give you 75 to 80% winners. Come on now, right? First of all, we all know you're full of shit. Plus, you're charging for these picks.
Oh!
Yeah, charging for all that, right? With me, just come to YouTube every week, and I'm going to drop my plays on you for free. Now, the new week began yesterday, and I got a split in Game 2 of the ALCS as I missed on Cleveland, but I hit the over. Because don't all games go over in Yankee Stadium? Game 1 didn't. But Yankee Stadium, just bet the over. Right? You're going to win like 70% of the time. Both home runs hit in last night's game were pop flies. And they turned out to be home runs. Just doesn't make any sense. Well, away we go to episode 9. We'll get it all started tonight, 7 Eastern, with a good college football matchup on ESPN2 at Elliott T. Bowers Stadium in Huntsville, Texas, where 5-1 Sam Houston State is a 3-point home favorite versus 4-2 Western Kentucky, and the total's 55.5. Sam Houston's won 4 straight, and they've averaged 36 per during that streak. And Western Kentucky's won 4 out of 5 with their only loss by 1 point at Boston College. Both teams are playing really well right now. But the Bearcats are coming off a bye and playing at home. Give me Sam Houston, lay the 3. Also tonight, we move on to Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. And this time we move to Queens with the series tied at 1. Jack Flaherty was dominant for the Dodgers in their Game 1 win, while Sean Manaea was equally dominant for the Mets in Game 2 to even the series. Now the series moves to Queens, and you better believe those fans are going to be off the hook tonight. Walker Buehler gets the nod for the Dodgers, while Luis Severino gets the call for the Mets. Buehler got slapped around by the Padres last week and hasn't been healthy all year, while Severino got a no decision after 6 innings in Stoniecast last week. Both teams are minus 110, meaning the wise guys prefer Buehler on the road. But I'm going with Severino and the Mets, who've just been relentless with their timely hitting. Mets money line, minus 110, and under 8 at minus 120 are the 2 plays for Game 3. Tomorrow's Game 3 of the American League Championship Series, with the Yankees up 2-0 after winning Games 1 and 2 in the Boogie Down Bronx. Clark Schmidt goes for the Yankees after tossing 4 2/3 innings of 2-run ball in a no decision during Game 3 of the ALDS at Kansas City. Matthew Boyd gets the rock for Cleveland after throwing 6 2/3 combined scoreless ball in his 2 outings so far this postseason. Cleveland's going to be fired up, and if there was ever a must-win for the Tribe, tomorrow is the time. Actually, they've got to win at least the next 2. Cleveland money line, minus 105 and under 7 are the 2 plays for tomorrow's day game. Game 4 of the NLCS is tomorrow night in Queens, but the number won't be posted until after tonight's game. So later tonight, I'll post my pick for Game 4 in the comments section of this video. Now let's move on to the NFL and get it started tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern on Amazon. at the Caesars Superdome in the Big Easy, where 2-4 New Orleans is a short 1-point home favorite over 3-3 Denver, and the total is 37.5. How can a team that has lost 4 straight be favored? It's simple. All 4 of the Saints' losses were against good teams, while Denver's previous 3-game win streak, which was halted on Sunday, included wins over the Raiders and the Jets. Ouch. Give me the Saints at home and lay the point in the Big Easy.
Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou.
That's right, Hank. How much fun will we have on the bayou? NCAA football tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. Excuse me, that's not tomorrow night. Wait, yes, tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg. 3-3 Virginia Tech is a 7-point home chalk versus 4-1 Boston College, and the total's 49.5. Vatech bounced back from their late collapse in Miami 2 weeks ago by hammering Stanford last week, and Boston College lost last week at Virginia. The Hokies are playing well and have played a better schedule, which explains the 7-point number. The Vatech gets the win, but BC gets the cover. Give me Boston College +7 on the road. Friday night, NCAA football, where I'm 10-5 on the season Friday nights. We'll get it started at 8 Eastern on Big Fox at Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette, where second-ranked Oregon is a 27.5-point road favorite at 1-5 Purdue, and the total's 58.5. Purdue's lost 5 straight, and aside from last week, they've all been blown out in every single one of them. But Oregon, despite taking down Ohio State last week, has trouble covering big numbers like this. Give me Purdue catching 27.5 at home. That's 4 freaking touchdowns and 4 extra points. Well, three extra points. Also Friday night at 10:15 Eastern on ESPN at Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, 13th ranked Brigham Young is a 10-point home favorite versus Oklahoma State, and the total set at 55.5. The Cougars are rolling right now, and Okie State has dropped 3 in a row, including a blowout loss at home to West Virginia 2 weeks ago. Yeah, they had a week off, but that won't matter here. Cougars roll, BYU -10. And Friday night's nightcap goes at 10:30 Eastern on CBS Sports Network at Mackey Stadium in the biggest little city in the world, where 3-3 Fresno State is a 2.5-point road favorite at 3-4 Nevada, and the total's 51.5. Nevada inexplicably has 3 wins. Don't know how, but they do. And Fresno's dropped 2 straight. But just look at who Nevada beat and who Fresno lost to. Give me Fresno on the road in what looks like a lock. What looks like a lock. Bulldogs -2.5. Let's move on to Saturday, which, for the record, and I've said it every year, Saturdays are always better than Sundays, especially in the fall. Can't beat it. We'll get it started at noon Eastern on FS1 as 4-2 Rutgers is a 4.5-point home favorite versus 1-5 UCLA, and the total's 40.5. Rutgers dropped 2 straight after starting 4-0, and UCLA's just plain bad. The Bruins have lost 5 in a row, but they do cover numbers, right? As they've done in 4 straight, but not this time. That flight from La La Land to Piscataway is an eternity. I'm on Rutgers -4.5 at home. Noon Eastern on Big Fox at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. 16th ranked Indiana's a 6.5-point home favorite versus 5-1 Nebraska, and the total's 50.5. Indiana's one of the surprise unbeatens of the season so far, but their most impressive win was at home over Maryland, who isn't very good. Nebraska's only loss was to Illinois, and they have enough to knock Indiana from the ranks of the unbeaten. I'm not going to go that far, but I'll gladly take Nebraska +6 in a chunk. Noon Eastern on ABC at L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium in Louisville. 6th ranked Miami comes to town as 4-point road chalk at 4-2 Louisville, and the total 61.5. The terrifying stat is that this is Miami's toughest test of the regular season. The entire regular season. Maybe SMU later on, but I doubt it. They got to dodge the other good team. Or no, actually, they missed SMU too, right? They dodged all the other good teams in the ACC until they ultimately lose to Clemson in the ACC championship. That's what's going to happen. And then they'll get bounced in the first round of the playoffs by an SEC or a Big Ten school. Yeah, I'm crazy. I am. I really am. I've completely gone nuts, right? We've accepted that. But I'm on Louisville here, catching the 4 at home with a sprinkle on the money line to win outright.
Sprinkle me, man.
You need that sprinkle from time to time. Thanks, 40. And while you're at it, go ahead and take over 61.5, as this one's going to be a shootout. 12:45 Eastern on the SEC Network at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman. 4-2 Oklahoma is a 3-point home favorite versus 3-3 South Carolina, and the total's 40.5. OU's lost 2 out of 3, but losses to Texas and Tennessee hold up really well. And South Carolina's lost 3 out of 4, but they've opened a lot of eyes in their losses to LSU and Alabama. OU just doesn't look like the Sooners that we've come to know. So I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna dance with South Carolina here, catching the field goal with a sprinkle on the money line.
Sprinkle me, man. Sprinkle me.
You need that. Thanks, 40. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Hotlanta. 12th ranked Notre Dame comes in as 11.5-point road favorites at 5-2 Georgia Tech, and the total set at 49.5. Yeah, it's a home game for Tech because it's still in Hot Town. But it's not at Bobby Dodd Stadium, and it's at the Benz instead, because that's what happens when Notre Dame comes to town. Tech has been nice this year, but Notre Dame has been steamrolling teams since their loss to Northern Iowa. I see no difference this week. Give me the Irish on the road and lay the lumber. 3:30 Eastern on CBS at Memorial Stadium in Champaign. 24th ranked Michigan is a 3-point road favorite at 22nd ranked Illinois, and the total's 43.5. Michigan had won 3 straight after their loss to Texas, but were beaten last week at Washington. Illinois' only loss this season was at Penn State at the end of September. Brett Bielema's done a fantastic job in Champaign building this program up, and this will be his biggest win. Yeah, I said win. Give me Illinois at home, catching 3.
You're leaving me?
What is going on with the YouTube? And this is just insane. You can't even play a little something without running through commercials and ads. It's just sad.
Sprinkle me, man.
Yes, that's absolutely necessary. Goodness, after all that. If it's the third weekend in October, that means we get Saturdays in the South with the 3 Fs: family, faith, and football. 3:30 Eastern on ABC at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. Number 7 Alabama is a 2.5-point road chalk at 11th ranked Tennessee, and the total's 56.5. Neither team has looked very imposing the last 2 weeks, as Tennessee rebounded from their loss at Arkansas with an overtime win versus Florida last week. While Bama could have, probably should have lost 2 straight to Vanderbilt and South Carolina. But they still got the W last week. Tennessee's very dangerous offense has been struggling lately. Joe?
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
After all is said and done, I have to take the Tide here. Lay the 2.5 on Rocky Top, because Alabama has memories, and they remember what happened 2 years ago on Rocky Top. 4 Eastern on FS1 at SECU Stadium in College Park. 3-3 USC is a 7.5-point road favorite at 3-3 Maryland, and the total's 56.5. SC has lost 3 out of 4 and is learning quickly how different the Pac-10 is, or how different the Big Ten is than the Pac-12, right? A lot different. Maryland has dropped 2 straight, including an embarrassing home loss to Northwestern last week. One of my winners, by the way.
Hoo-ah!
Yes, it was. Thanks, Al. I needed that one. You're welcome, by the way. This time, SC gets the win, but Maryland gets the cover, possibly through the back door. USC and UCLA are now realizing the trials and tribulations of playing in the Big Ten and traveling all the way across country. Give me Maryland +7 and a hook. 4 Eastern on Big Fox at Arizona Stadium in Tucson. 3-3 Arizona is a 3.5-point home favorite versus 4-2 Colorado, and the total set at 55.5. Arizona's lost 3 out of 4 after a 2-0 start, while Colorado's schedule has been soft as Miami's. But they lost to Kansas State at home and at Nebraska. Zona's the better team right now, especially with Travis Hunter banged up. I like Zona laying 3.5. 7 Eastern on ESPN at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. 8th-ranked LSU is a 3-point road favorite at 4-2 Arkansas, and the total's 54.5. I told you LSU would win 5 straight after losing their opener to USC, and they did. But I didn't expect them to take out Ole Miss last week and make it 6 straight. But they did, as Ole Miss vomited all over themselves and handed LSU the win. It's what happens when you shat all over yourself. With A&M and Bama looming the next 2 weeks, the Chinese Bandits need this one. Arkansas has already knocked off a top 10 team in Fayetteville this year, and Saturday they'll make it too. Give me Arkansas +3 with a sprinkle. 7:30 Eastern on Big Five. Can't go back to the sprinkle me sound because the sound bite's all screwed up right now. I got to fix that before next week. 7:30 Eastern on Big Fox at Milan Pusker Stadium in Morgantown. 17th ranked Kansas State is a 3-point road favorite at 3-3 West Virginia, and the total's 54.5. K-State's bad loss at BYU last month was an outlier, as they've been beating everyone else, while 2 of West Virginia's losses have come to unbeaten Pitt and Iowa State. The Wildcats have the horses here to get it done, so I'm going to take Kansas State on the road laying the field goal. The game of the day goes Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on ABC at Donald K. Royal Memorial Stadium in Austin. This is what makes college football so great. Top-ranked Texas is a 3.5-point home favorite over 5th-ranked Georgia, and the total's 56.5. Texas hasn't been tested this year with 6 blowout wins. But are Michigan and Oklahoma really that good? Those are their best wins so far. The same can be said of Georgia, but their lone loss was in Tuscaloosa, and if there's such a thing as a good loss, that's it. These 2 squads are very evenly matched, but I think there's a mismatch, and that's coaching. Give me Kirby Smart all day over Steve Sarkisian. Give me Georgia on the road +3.5 with a sprinkle. 8 Eastern on ACC Network at Stanford Stadium in the Silicon Valley. 21st ranked SMU is a 14.5-point road favorite at 2-4 Stanford, and the total's 54.5. SMU's only loss was the unbeaten BYU last month and have blown out everyone else they played, while Stanford has been on the losing end of 3 straight blowouts in their first ACC campaign. I don't see Stanford keeping this one close. I just don't. SMU -21.5 is bordering lock status. They'll win by 30. 10 p.m. Eastern on the CW Network at Reser Stadium in Corvallis. 5-1 Nevada, Las Vegas is a 7.5-point road favorite at 4-2 Oregon State, and the total 61.5. UNLV's lone loss was to Syracuse in overtime 2 weeks ago in a game that they blew in the fourth quarter and overtime. OSU was doing fine at 4-1 with their only loss to Oregon until last week's head-scratching loss in Reno to a really bad Nevada Reno team. I like UNLV a lot, but this one is a perfect get-right game for the Beavers, especially with that hook attached to the 7. I'm on Oregon State catching 7.5 at home. And finally, last week's Degenerate Special was a push, so I'm 3-1 in the late night get-right. So let's do this week's version at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN at Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake Stony, where 4-2 Utah is a 4.5-point home favorite versus 3-3 Texas Christian, and the total's 49.5. Utah was 4-0 until back-to-back losses to the Arizona schools sent the Utes reeling. But TCU has dropped 3 out of 4, including bad losses to UCF and Houston. Utah quarterback Cam Rising is hurt. He's out for the year again, and now he's petitioning to the NCAA for an 8th season of eligibility. The man's literally going to be 37 years old when he graduates, or if he does, but who knows. He's always hurt. Rice Eccles will be on full tilt Saturday night. Give me the Utes and lay the 4.5 to close out the college football week. That's 20 NCAA plays on another crazy busy weekend, and I'm seeing a lot of W's in that lot. Feeling really confident this week. Now let's move on to another NFL Sunday, and for the 3rd straight week, we'll go across the pond and start it at 8:30 Eastern on NFL Network at Wembley Stadium in London. Ugh. It pains me to even say this. 1-5 Jaguars are 5.5-point favorites versus 1-5 New England, and the total set at 43. Let's face it, if you have to wake up early to bet this one, cruise, because you're a fiender, cruise, to bet on a game with 2 absolutely awful teams, then you got serious problems, cruise, and need to check yourself into a meeting, cruise. If I have to pick one, I can't in good conscience take New England. I just can't. Give me the Jags -5 and a chunk. 1 Eastern on Fox at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Hotlanta. The 4-2 Falcons are 3-point home chalk versus 3-3 Seattle, and the total's 50.5. The ATL has won 3 straight over their division opponents, and now they get their 3rd game of their last 4 at home, while Seattle has lost 3 in a row. Aside from last week's blowout win at Carolina, the Falcons kept playing tight ones. I like Seattle here with the extra rest after playing last Thursday, so give me Seattle plus the field goal in Hot Town with a sprinkle. 1 Eastern on CBS at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. The 4-2 Bills are 9-point home favorites versus 1-4 Tennessee, and the total's 41.5. Buffalo bounced back from their 2-game losing skid by taking out the Jets on Monday night, while the Titans are just a total freaking mess. Buffalo wins easily in this one, but coming off a short week and overlooking Tennessee are very good bets, so I'll take the Titans plus the 9 on the road, possibly through the back door. 1 Eastern on Sunday at the Dog Pound in Cleveland. Another dog, 2-4 Cincinnati is a 5-point road favorite at the 1-5 Browns in a rivalry game, and the total's 43. Cincinnati's won 2 out of 3 as they try to salvage their season, and the Brownies finally got me after all those weeks of betting them. The Brownies finally got me a cover last week.
Hoo-ah!
Thanks, Al. You're welcome, by the way. I needed that one. They just don't inspire any sort of confidence at all. And Massage Watson is playing like he doesn't care because nobody's going to play hard when their entire freaking contract is guaranteed. He's hoping to get cut so he can call for more massages. Cincy -5. 1 Eastern on CBS at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. A good one. Has the 4-2 Packers as 3-point home favorites versus 5-1 Houston, and the total's 47.5. Both teams lost to Minnesota, aside from Houston's win over Buffalo 2 weeks ago. I'm not seeing any impressive wins. I like Houston and I like C.J. Stroud, but I like Jordan Love more, and the Pack at home catching 3 with a sprinkle. 1 Eastern on Fox. Did I get that right? The Pack at home? No, the Pack are 3-point chalk. Give me the Pack. Sorry. 1 Eastern on Fox at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The 3-3 Colts are 3.5-point home favorites versus 2-3 Miami, and the total's 43.5. Miami's wins were over Jacksonville and New England, and Indy may not be very good, but they find a way. The hook scares me, but at this point, I don't really give a shit. Joe Flacco power, baby! Give me Indy at home and lay the 3 in a chunk. The game of the NFL weekend is here. 1 Eastern at US Bank Stadium in Stoniapolis, where the 5-0 Vikings are 2-point home chalk versus Detroit, and the total's 49.5. Yeah, the Lions' 47-9 blowout in Dallas was impressive. But Dallas is terrible. They're a mess. I mean, let's be honest. Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, these are all the teams that Detroit has beaten. While many beat the 49ers, Houston, and Green Bay in 3 straight games and are coming off a bye. Give me the Vikings here to stay unbeaten and lay the 2 at home. 1 Eastern on Fox at Snoopyville in New Jersey. 3-2 Philadelphia is a 3.5-point road favorite at the 2-4 Giants, and the total's 43. Philly beat Cleveland last week, like everyone else does, because of course they do, right? But they didn't cover. Another one of my wins.
Hoo-ah!
You're welcome, by the way, for that. And the Giants lost at home Sunday night to Cincinnati in what? Another one of my wins.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. They just kept coming. Attaboy, Al. just what you need to hear. You're welcome again. Philly is bad right now. Really bad. And the Giants are a reverse turf home underdog. So give me Jersey at home plus 3.5. 4 Eastern on CBS at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Always up to no good. The 1-4 Rams are a 7-point home chalk versus 2-4 Las Vegas. And the total's 43.5. The Rams have dropped 2 in a row and the Raiders 3 of 4. So this turns into a really shitty matchup. The Rams were on a bye last week, which means they desperately need to get healthy. And while they're not completely healthy, they're more healthy right now. And with Sean McVay coming off a bye against a really, really bad Raider squad, that means the Rams -7 are the play here. And that's borderline lock status here. I'm watching ESPN, by the way, right now, SportsCenter. They have a bald-headed woman with a short skirt that's 10, 12, 14 inches above her knees. The hell is she with a shirt and a tie? Unbelievable what ESPN gets away with. Jesus. 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS at Northwest Stadium. The name changes are ridiculous. Landover, Maryland. The 4-2 Commando Skins are 7.5-point home favorites over 1-5 Carolina, and the total's 51.5. Washington is highly overrated, and they have yet to beat anybody who's even close to having a winning record. And the Panthers are a train wreck again. I hate laying this many points, but I see Jaden Daniels throwing 4 touchdowns, and the media touts him as the greatest quarterback of all time. Give me Washington and lay the 9 at home. 4:25 Eastern on Fox at 501 Denim Jeans Stadium in the Silicon Valley. The 3-3 49ers are 1.5-point home favorites versus 5-0 Kansas City, and the total's 47 in a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. And no, this is still not the game of the week. Green Bay and Detroit has to be the game of the week. The 49ers have lost 3 out of 4, but have now won 2 out of 3, while KC's only impressive win in their undefeated schedule was over Baltimore in week 1, and that was literally by a toe. Yes, the Chiefs had a bye last week, but and we all know Andy Reid's record after a bye, but the 49ers have an extended break as well since they played last Thursday. So give me the Niners to get some revenge by taking out Kansas City, SF -1.5. Sunday night at 8:20 Eastern on NBC at the stadium formerly known as the Giant Ketchup Bottle in Pittsburgh. The 2-4 Jets are 1.5-point road favorites at the 4-2 Steelers, and the total's 38. I don't understand teams. Pittsburgh is 4-2 and is considering putting Russell Wilson in as starting quarterback instead of Justin Fields, who's been dynamic as well. He's been good as their starter. ESPN now thinks that the Jets are the greatest team of all time because their poster boy, Aaron freaking Rodgers, has his play toy in Devontae. I don't give a shit. Neither does anybody else not living in New York. The Steelers are a reverse turf home dog. Give me Pittsburgh and the 1.5 at home. We got 2 Monday Night Football matchups again this week, so let's start it all off. 8:15 Eastern on ESPN at the Big Sombrero in Tampa. The 4-2 Ravens are 3.5-point road favorites at the 4-2 Buccaneers, and the total's 48.5. Baltimore has ripped off 4 straight since starting 0-2, and the Bucs have won 2 out of 3. In the real world, nobody can see Tampa 5-2, and most people can see the Ravens 5-2. But this ain't the real world. Bucs are a reverse turf home underdog. Give me Tampa plus 3.5. Oh, that's right. NBA. Good Lord. ESPN. Just the drooling and the fawning of Aaron Rodgers, the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, right? And now, NBA preseason. The LeBron train, choo-choo, is back. Let's hear about the Lakers every single night because LeBron and his son are top stories, right? They have to be the top story because ESPN is telling us they're the top story. Just stupid. Goodness, I just can't take it. Bucks, what did I say? Tampa Bay, I lost my train of thought there. Just the LeBron, yeah. The Tampa Bay's a reverse turf home underdog, so give me Tampa plus 3.5 at home with a sprinkle against Baltimore. Finally, at 9 Eastern on ESPN at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, the 3-2 Chargers are 3-point road favorites at 2-4 Arizona, and the total's 44. The Chargers snapped their 2-game losing streak by beating Denver last week, while Zona's lost 3 out of 4. The Cardinals are a reverse turf home underdog, making it 4 on the week. So to close out the week, I'm going with Zona plus 3 and a sprinkle. That's lots of sprinklings this week. 15 NFL plays. Add those up to the 20 college picks. That gives us 35 on the week. 20 wins is our goal, but 22 or 23 is very possible. Let's hit them early and let's hit them hard. Now remember, MLB playoff picks will continue every day in the comments section of this video. And I'll have series picks for you as well as daily individual game selections throughout the rest of the season. So I'm going to wind up with over 50 picks for the week again. After today's games, I'll post my picks for tomorrow's game in the comment section of this video tonight, like I already said. Make sure to check back next Wednesday as Stoniecast 148 will be coming at you. So until then, right, you just got to remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. The difference between making money and the difference between winning and making money is that anyone can win betting chalk, but you can't make money unless you take the dogs. There's a big difference. Do you want to win or do you want to make money? Figure it out, Cruz, because I don't think you have yet. And finally, there's money on the streets that can't be ignored. Good luck to you. Yep, I still miss you, Gooch, my brother.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Have a good one, all.